There is no statute of limitations on an unfiled tax return. What I'm going through here are the provisions of the code as they exist. So if you haven't filed a tax return for 2001, technically there is no statute of limitations. Excuse me? Meaning what? Means you're still liable to file the tax return. The statute of limitations, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept, says after a certain period of time, the legal obligation to do whatever it was you were required to do is gone. Under the U.S. tax code, that's not the case. Just relax now. Relax, folks. Relax. Okay. Relax. I want you to relax. All right. There's a 3-year statute of limitations on a filed return. So if you file a return for 2010, you filed it on time, 3 years from when that return was filed, so 2010 return filed in 2011, sometime during 2014, that tax return is now statute barred to the service. They can't do anything with it, absent fraud or some other things which probably aren't going to be relevant. In limited situations, the 3-year limit can be increased. What is one of the exceptions? The failure to report foreign source income. So here you are in Greece, you filed your U.S. tax return, but you said, well, gee, I was told that I only had to pay tax in the U.S. on the income I got in the U.S., and I paid tax in Greece on the income I got in Greece, so I don't report my Greek income on my U.S. tax return, and I don't report my U.S. income on my Greek tax return. Wrong and wrong. So here you are, you filed for 2011, but you happen to have $4,000 in rental income in Greece that you did not disclose on your U.S. tax return. You would be within one of the exceptions to open up the 6-year statute. Again, relax. Okay. Penalties are based only on tax due. So if you don't owe any tax, the maximum penalty you can pay is $135. And most of the time, the IRS is never going to assess that anyway. So if you don't owe any tax, you really have no penalty. So the tax return isn't really your big enemy in this situation. It's not the big fear. Because most of you are not going to owe much tax. And let's say you owe $1,000 in tax. Well, the penalties may be about $1,000. So the penalty in the U.S. tax environment is driven by the amount of tax due. If no tax is due, the penalty is a maximum of $135.